What is going on? This is your man Jamel Adams with Sales in Action, where we train people how to put their sales into action. This is incredible. Listen, I'm talking about one of the most explosive, one of the most incredible careers a person can have is in sales. I've been in sales for 20 plus years. Let me tell you something. I've learned so much, I've grown so much, I've experienced so much. I've helped so many different people. And after 20 years in this, over 20 years in the same career, let me say, I couldn't imagine doing anything different with my life. But let me say this. So many people get involved in sales and they're unprepared for it. They don't know what to expect. Because one thing that's for sure, if you're in sales, you are going to run into obstacles. If you're in sales, you're going to run into people that don't necessarily agree with what you have to service them with or the products that you have. You're going to have people that don't necessarily want to move forward with you, and you have to be prepared for that. Now, this is what I found is that so many people are unprepared for the obstacles that they face when it comes to sales. This is what I want to do at Sales in Action tonight is I want to talk to you about some of the obstacles that you're going to experience, whether you're a seasoned professional, you've been in sales for a long time, or you're new in sales. I want to talk to you about a couple obstacles that you're going to face. It's not if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. And my hope is to prepare you for when you have to experience these type of obstacles. Now, before I go into the obstacles, let me say this to you. Never be afraid of the obstacles. The obstacles aren't there to trip you up. The obstacles, if I'm being honest, the obstacles are there to make you a stronger salesperson. The obstacles prepare you so that, and I love this, prepare you so that when it happens again, you know exactly what you need to do the next time. So don't run from the obstacles. Accept the obstacles so that you can be prepared for when it happens again. So tonight, I'm going to give you what? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to talk to you about 3 obstacles. It's not going to be a long video. I just want to kind of get your brain moving, get you thinking, and get you outside the box. That's the plan. So 3 obstacles that you will face if you're in sales. Again, whether you're new to sales or you're a vet in sales, do me a favor. As you're watching the video, go down to the comment section and write in just a common obstacle that you faced during your sales career, one that you have overcome, or 2, something that you're still struggling with and maybe need a little bit of help with. And we'll go ahead and get that addressed for you, get you help and get you on the way to becoming a tier 1 sales asset. But let's jump right into it. The first obstacle, listen, this obstacle that I'm about to give you, this first one, may not be the sales rep, the sales associate, the salesperson. This is not their obstacle. This is the prospect's obstacle, the client's obstacle, but it's still one that you as the sales rep will have to overcome. Here's the first obstacle, a fear of failure. Listen, this person that you're dealing with, they possibly had a bad experience in the past, and this experience has conditioned them, right? Like most experiences that we have in life, this experience has conditioned them. So now they're suspicious. So now they're skeptical, and they're predisposed to thinking that all salespeople are sketchy characters. They're predisposed to thinking that all you want from them is their money. And so they have a fear of failure because, and don't be alarmed. Let me just say this, because this happens so often. But it's so easy to overcome. The first thing I need you to understand is that consumers like to buy. They don't like to be sold. They like to buy. They don't like to be sold. So in order to do that, you have to be able to have a conversation with them. And so many salespeople struggle with that. But you have to be able to have a conversation with them. So someone who's experienced failure, or someone that's been conned before in the past, or someone that's been scammed before in the past, will never want to make that mistake again. So for them, when they come into your auto shop, when they come into your brick and mortar, or when they call you at your place of business, the alarms are already going off. Inside their head, they're already thinking, I can't have what happened before happen again. So they have this fear of failure that's already beaten inside their chest. So before the call even starts, you have this obstacle to overcome. They don't want to look bad again. They don't want to look bad to their husband. They don't want to look bad to their wife. If this is a company calling in for products, this employee doesn't want to look bad to their boss. They have a fear of failure. Let me tell you something. Fear of failure is the number one reason consumers do not buy on the first call. It's the number one reason they do not buy on the first call. So how do we handle this? As always, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to walk you through that process. This is where customer loyalty and satisfaction come into play. This is an old rule. It's what I call an oldie but a goodie. We have been teaching, we have been training, we have been coaching on this for years, but unfortunately, it seems like this new generation just ain't catching on. I'm here to tell you, if the bridge is not broken, don't try to fix it. This is the time to use what I call value propositions, past success stories, quotes, or even notes from previous clients. Listen, you have so many success stories if you've been in sales for any amount of time. What you need to do is you need to get in the habit, after you have successfully completed a sale, reach out to your client and say, hey, John, hey, Mary, if you had a great experience going through this process with me, do you mind writing me a note or a letter just talking about what your experience was and how good I was in dealing with this, or even if you had problems, I want you to be honest. And I'm going to tell you, 9 out of 10 times, if they're going to write the letter, they're going to write a glowing recommendation about how great of a job you did. And these are the things that you can share with clients that have a fear of failure. You want to be transparent with them. You don't want to be hiding behind the veil, but you want to show them who you are, the real you. And the real you is trying to help them. Let me tell you something. By doing these simple things, you can easily move a prospect past the fear of failure to a prospect who's ready to buy. And these are simple things that you can do immediately because you're bringing on new clients every day. Don't be afraid to ask them for a letter, for a note, something that says what kind of job you did for them. And then you simply share that with the future client. Here's obstacle number 2. This one is salesperson related. Obstacle number 2 is fear of rejection. In my 20 some odd years in sales, let me tell you something, man. I've seen so many people get into sales thinking that they're going to make 6 figures. They're going to make more than that very quickly, that it's a cushy job, that it's, so many different things. The thought process just doesn't make sense. But they get into the sales field, but here's the problem. They have a fear of rejection. They have a fear of rejection. They're afraid to ask for the sale because they're afraid the prospect's going to say no to them. And so they have this rejection that drives them completely. Now, let me tell you something. Rejection is one of the worst things a person can experience. I've experienced rejection before in my life. Before I began to study and before I began to perfect my craft, I went through seasons of rejection. And it was through those seasons of rejection that I said to myself, man, I love doing what I'm doing, but I can't keep doing it this way because it's not working. So I had to change up certain things that I was doing. And when I began to perfect my craft, when I began to make the necessary sacrifices to get to where I needed to be at, I saw a change and I stopped getting rejected. But again, rejection is one of the worst things that a person can experience. Whether the rejection happens in your personal life, whether it happens in your professional life, it's not a great feeling. If a salesperson has a fear of rejection, has a fear of criticism or disapproval, he can turn a buyer off. He can turn a buyer off and end the sale before it even begins. If you're the worried, right? If you're too worried about the prospect's reaction, when you try to give them the price, when you try to go in for the close, then you're never going to close the deal. I've seen so many sales reps. They're about to roll the price, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000, whatever it is. And immediately, as soon as they roll the number, they start whispering, or they roll the number and they start backtracking. Don't worry about that. We can negotiate, or we can make that more, this, that, or the third. Let me tell you something that I learned. It's your job to roll the fee, and it's the prospects, it's your client's job to figure out how they're going to pay for it. If you've created enough value and you've created enough urgency, you've done your job and you've earned the right to roll the fee. Roll the fee. Sit back, be quiet, and let's see what they say. And it doesn't matter what they say. If you've done your job correctly, you know where to go to next. Listen, fear of rejection not only affects the salesperson, but it also affects the company. Imagine a client or a transaction that's ready to go, but the case gets extended because the sales rep is afraid to get a firm commitment because he or she is afraid of rejection. See, that loss of commission just doesn't affect the salesperson, but it also affects the company. Fear of rejection is a very serious issue, one that needs to be addressed quickly. And the best cure for fear of rejection is product knowledge. This is the fourth pillar of success. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to that video. I did a video with the 4 pillars of success, right? Sales success. And product knowledge is the fourth pillar. If you can get this and grasp that and understand that, let me tell you something. Your confidence will soar in your product. If you believe you have the best product, if you believe you have the best service for your client, it's easy to push past the fear of rejection because you believe that you are the best option for them. Fear of rejection becomes a thing of the past. Obstacle number 3, check this out. Last one, and then we're out of here. Your customer's too busy. Look, at the end of the day, look at your day. Look how busy you are. Now imagine how busy your prospect is as well, right? They have a business to run. They have families. They're trying to generate revenue. This may mean that you have limited time to try to close the deal. Some salespeople get turned off when the prospect says, "Hey, I don't have a lot of time." But the fact of the matter is that might be the reality. What are you going to do about it? Are you prepared for that? You should be. Listen, because of the limited time, sometimes these deals can be harder to close, but that does not mean that they're impossible to close. You may end up playing a little bit of phone tag. That's okay. Don't get frustrated. You may struggle getting past the gatekeeper if you're calling into the office. Listen, that's part of the process. Or often hear the prospect plainly say to you, "I need this service, but I don't have time to talk now." Let me tell you something. What didn't they say? They didn't say, "No, stop calling me." But that's what we hear. No, listen with the intent to understand. I need the service, but I don't have time to talk right now. Listen, as long as they're not saying no, you're still in the game. You're still in the game. You've heard it all before. And I guarantee you're going to hear all these things again. People are busy. And simply put, if you're in sales, you have to deal with that. That being said, like I said, they pay as well. Sometimes you just have to practice a little patience and it pays off. You need to maintain momentum through the sales pitch, constantly reminding them why they called in or why they came into your store, into your facility. There's a reason they're talking to you. And a lot of times you just have to continue to put that reason in front of them. Create value. Create urgency in getting them started today. They may be busy. They may have a lot going on, but your product or service is going to save them time. And for a busy person like that, what's the most value that you can bring in their life, in their situation today? More time. And that's what you're selling them. Listen, there's always going to be obstacles in sales. Don't be afraid. Don't run from the obstacles. Accept the obstacles. Learn from the obstacles. Grow through the obstacles, and I guarantee you, you will become a better salesperson for them. Do me a favor. Take this sales training that you're getting tonight and put it in action and watch what happens. I'll check you guys next time on Sales in Action. And do me a favor, if you made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Later.